and welcome back to the Art House. I'm Elise, and it has been 4 weeks since I started my 2026 seedlings. They are all here. We're done. They're all started at this point except for sunflowers, but that's a March problem. I have 8 trays of 72 cells of seedlings, and they're doing pretty well for the most part. What I'm working on now is keeping them hydrated, making sure they have light, and then starting up planting as the plants get too large. So last week I moved all of my cucumbers into their own little pots. So now they have a little bit more space to grow. They will stay in pots like this until they're ready to go into the garden. This is going to be their final home until the garden is their final home. All of the plastic pots that I have are just ones that I've saved from previous years. When I used to buy my seedlings at the garden center, I have oodles of these, and I just keep them. I keep them, I move them up, and that's it. Today, I'm going to be transplanting some of my tomatoes into slightly larger homes. You'll notice this is my tomato tray. So I have tomatoes, I have tomatillos, I have jalapenos, peppers, a little bit more tomatillos in the back. And then on this far side, I've moved some of my zinnia seeds. When I took out the cucumbers, I had spots left. And so I went ahead and just added some dirt and plopped in some more zinnias into here. And they're doing pretty well. But I'm gonna start up planting because my tomatoes are getting a little bit bigger, and you can see their roots are outgrowing their little cell space. So that's gonna be my cue to move them. I'm not gonna move them quite to something this large yet. This is a bit big, probably even a little bit big for the cucumbers, but for my tomatoes, because they're still pretty tiny, I'm gonna move them to something like this. So this space is still at least 3 times bigger than what they're currently in. So it's still gonna be a little bit of growth. So I'm gonna move them here, and then maybe about a month from now, we'll see, I make this up as we go, but maybe about a month from now, I'll be able to move them again into larger homes, and then they'll go into the garden. So when I upplant, what do I use? I use a recycled old tray, and then I use dirt, like good heavy dirt. This is the current stuff. Recipe 420, they call it Bang potting soil, and it has much more food and nutrients for my growing plants than what was in that seed starting soil, right? The seed starting soil, its number one thing was that it was pretty lightweight and could allow the roots to break through and the sprout to come up. This has a bit more for the plant, right? A little bit more nutrients that it's going to rely on to grow. I use that and I pour it into my containers. After I've added a little bit of dirt to the bottom of the container, I use some of this like root encourager. And this is something that just gets the roots going. And its goal is just to help the roots take up the nutrients. The dirt goes in, I sprinkle a little bit of this in, and then I use these wooden plant markers because this is what I have. You could use butter knives, you could use forks, whatever you want to do. But I'm able to then grab, like push this down, hold it nice and tight, and pull out the plant. And you can see the roots there. And then that can get set right into the container. And then I just add a bit of dirt on top, and ta-da, we have upplanted. I take all of my trays, right? They have the holes in the bottom, and I put all of them into a similar plastic tray or exactly the same plastic tray that the seeds started in. And then I can pour water directly into this tray. And then from the bottom, the seeds can absorb that water and get the water that they need to continue to grow. A couple more things to show you. So this is that first tray of zinnias that I originally moved. These were the seeds that I sprouted myself, right? So these were the ones I saved last year and I sprouted, and you can see most of them are doing pretty well still. They're getting their first true leaves. So the original leaves that came up were just more of these rounded leaves. The first true leaves are gonna look more pointy, right? Zinnias have pointy the technical term, pointy leaves, that come out in like units of 2. And those are all, most of these here are starting, which is very exciting. This is another tray of flowers. All of this is doing pretty well. You can see the cosmos here are doing great. They're the tallest ones. The marigolds are flourishing, which makes sense. Marigolds flourish wherever, everywhere, always. My hollyhock, this is my first year growing hollyhock, and those are doing pretty well. And then my straw flower, my teeny tiny straw flower down here. You'll notice I pet the plants. I actually take my hands and I'm petting them. I do that for everything. In my art house, there's no fan, there's no air, and so the plants have no exposure to wind or anything difficult. And so this kind of represents that. Eventually, when they get a little bit bigger and it gets a bit warmer outside, I will start putting out the trays every day. And then during that time, they're gonna get more used to the real elements. But in the meantime, I just give them like a light pat. Some people have fans that they run inside, which does the same thing. It's just teaching your plants to expect wind. But other than that, one more tray to show you. So this guy has been going for 4 weeks and it's still teeny. When you compare this to like the tomatoes, it's wild. But this has my basil, which again, like starting to grow. The first real true leaves are coming in right in the center. And then it has some of the viola and pansies, which are doing almost nothing. I'm not sure what's gonna happen, we'll see. And then some of the calendula on the end here. And it's all growing. None of this needs to be upplanted. All of this is gonna stay for a while, but you can kind of see some of the progress. And then the only other, under the dome still, I have one more tray of zinnia. And this, easily by next week, the top will be off and this one will be out and hopefully growing. But yeah, that's it. That is the update for week 4. I'm excited to see progress, and I'm reminded that it just takes a while, and that's normal, and that's okay, and we're growing. So, all right, I'll see you next week. Always EliseJoy.com for more, and thank you for being here.